Welcome back to the Data Career Podcast. I'm super excited for today's episode. I'm doing an interview with one of our DCJ Data Career Jumpstart members, Tran, and I'm super excited to have him here and tell us about his story.
Welcome to the Data Career Podcast, the podcast that helps aspiring data professionals land their next data job. Here's your host, Avery Smith.
So Stephen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Avery. I love that you invited me on the podcast because I don't know if you know this. I've listened to every single episode of your podcast.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's actually helped me a lot making my LinkedIn post. So we'll talk about that.
Awesome. Well, now I guess this is one of the episodes you won't listen to. You don't have to listen to this one, I guess. You can just be in it. You can just talk about it. So super excited to have you. So we're going to start with the big picture. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, which is probably a lot of you guys, Stephen was working. What was your title before your current title?
It was Technical Support Analyst.
Okay. And what type of company was that for?
It was for a mortgage company called Ellie Mae, and they were acquired by ICE Mortgage Technology. So that's what they're known as now.
Okay. So you were kind of working in this like mortgage company doing a little bit of IT work. Is that right? Or?
Yeah, I just call it a glorified tech support job.
Okay, sweet. So like, was that like making sure people like had PowerPoint working correctly, or like what was like a daily task?
Yeah, so it was a little bit more than that because what I was doing, I was giving like API support. So we have our program called Encompass where our mortgage loan officers can go through and manage their loans and stuff. But we allow them to create their own code. So I would help debug that code for them, basically.
Okay.
So I would have tickets and whatnot that I have to go through and follow up and and all that stuff like that. But yeah, basically a tech support role.
Okay. So from a tech support role to now, I think your title is, I'm going to read this, Senior Associate in Analytics, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, at Dentsu, which is like a big media marketing company, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, so basically, you transformed your career from this tech support role into this, senior associate in analytics role in like less than 6 months, correct?
Absolutely. Yep, that's right.
Okay, so to give the people a timeline, you were at this non-data job and then got this awesome data job in just a couple of months. What were the timelines on that? Like, when did you start your data?
So in data journey overall, I finished my degree in business administration back in December. So I was looking into jobs of data or like how I can gain the skill set in November. It's been a very recent pivot because I was kind of like, oh no, I'm going to graduate soon. What am I going to do? I'm working this dead end tech support job. I don't want to do this forever. I want to be a data analyst. What is it going to take to become one?
Okay. So I didn't realize that. So this is November of 2021. You're going to graduate from your degree, which was in business administration, in December. Yep. And that's when I guess you spoke to a mutual friend of ours. I guess your cousin, is that right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Okay, Dom, shout out Dom. And Dom introduced you to me and in my program. So I think you joined Data Career Jumpstart, the big course, the project camp in November, correct?
That's correct.
And then when did you land your job with Dentsu?
So my official start date was February 28th, but they extended the offer to me about a month beforehand. So January, like the end of January.
Okay, so yeah. End of January, early February. So basically we're looking at November, December, January.
January, 3 months. Yep.
3 months from like, how much data experience did you have?
So I had Python classes because I also did computer science before I transitioned. And I also had a single SQL course that I took, which I did not take seriously. So I didn't carry a lot. So not a whole bunch, I would say.
Okay, but some. So that's what you're referring to. But back in college, you originally were studying computer science and then switched to business, right?
Yep.
So not like a ton, definitely no real world experience, maybe some college classes. And you were in a tech support role, and it sounded like there was some, at least looking at code involved in that. So not like the furthest away, but also not the closest, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So basically just to give people an overview, in 3 months, you went from tech support role to this new job in analytics. And I guess tell people a little bit about your current job. Like, are you in the office or no?
Nope, it's completely remote right now.
Completely remote. And like, do you like what you do more than you did previously?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. it's so much fun. I'm learning so much every day. I mean, it's stressful with all the projects that are going on, but it's good stress. It's something that I can work on and learn more of.
Okay. And like, so, okay, now you're working remotely. I guess you're still in California, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So you got to stay or live where you want to live. The people, the company density is pretty international. Where do they have offices? I don't even know.
They have a lot of offices on the East Coast. One of their main offices is in New York. So a lot of my team is in New York.
Do you have to like wake up early for calls then, or?
No, actually, they've been pretty nice. Even though I'm the only West Coast person, they've been trying to schedule all our meetings like later on in the day just for me. So it'll be in the afternoon for them, but like in the morning for me, which I don't mind at all. So they've been really nice about that.
That's awesome. Okay, so you get to be where you're at. You're a West Coast guy. You're working from home. What about financials? Like are you, go into as much detail as you want, but like, do you feel like you're better financially at this place than you were at the other place?
Yes, 100% in a better place. I wasn't struggling before, but I'm definitely not struggling now. It was about a 15K increase, which is I'm super psyched about, because this is something that, I like living on my own. I want to keep living on my own. So I definitely am able to do that still.
Okay. So, wow. So basically you like essentially in 3 months, you gave yourself a $15,000 raise.
Basically. Yeah, I would say that.
And the cool part I think about analytics and data in general is it's like, it's not dead end. Like you can keep progressing on and on for a long time. So it's like, it's 15,000, at the jump. And then, maybe 5 years down the line, it's another, 20 or something like that. Who knows? But it's like, you can keep progressing, right? I think that's one of the coolest parts.
Yes, that was one of the biggest things for me, because one of the things that I asked for when I was interviewing was that, do you have a way for me to become a data scientist? Because that was a really big thing for me, because progression is huge for me, because I need that motivation. I need to be able to progress upwards. And, it's not just from a money standpoint. It's from, I just want to build myself. I just finished college and it's still fresh for me. I want to get into the workforce and I want to build my reputation.
Okay, so let's now that people understand, your journey. So from tech support, graduating college in business, maybe taking one or two programming classes, to within 3 months landing this job at a pretty big international, marketing company, getting that $15,000 raise, being able to work, where you want. Let's talk about kind of the how you got there and what you thought was important. So you started by joining Data Career Jumpstart and, took some of the lessons there. Do you feel like you were learning quickly? Like what was the first thing that you were like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this. I like this. Like, what was the first time where you're like, this totally is something I want to do?
Yeah. So definitely the biggest thing that I love about DCJ, and this is one thing that I talk to a lot of people about, is I like the project approach rather than the here's a homework assignment, it's due next week kind of approach. And also the shorter videos, the bite by bite, 10 to 20 minute videos. I don't know about you, but I feel like I just snore an hour, 2 hour long lecture. Like I don't retain anything, and a lot of these things, they are hands-on, you can follow along, but I just get so bored. I'm gonna have to pause it here. When I come back, I'm gonna forget where I was. So I love the little bite-sized videos that you have. And that's just one thing that was able to keep me to do, like, oh, maybe I'll do 2 videos today or 3 videos the next day. So I can just do something every day, it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, I think that's something I've really tried to do with most of my courses and trainings is like projects. And I remember, I think you latched onto that pretty quickly. I remember, one of the hobbies that you have outside of data, right? But outside of work is weightlifting, right? Do you want to tell the people a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a competitive powerlifter, which means I try to lift as heavy as I possibly can in the squat, bench, and deadlift category. So that's a little fun thing that I do outside of work, outside of my 9 to 5, outside of my studying. So you can typically find me at the gym maybe 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay, but don't be humble. Tell the people how you did in the last competition.
Yeah, so I ended up getting a gold medal, first place in my last competition. So that was really fun.
And how much did you? Come on, give us the details.
So squat, my heaviest lift was 457 pounds. Let's see, bench was 270 pounds, and the deadlift was 500.2 pounds.
Sheesh, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've done that much weight, like in all of my years combined of going to the gym. So anyways, you love weightlifting. You went through a pretty big fitness journey in your life too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember you made a project about it, if I'm not mistaken, about, kind of your weight loss journey, your weight increase and like being able to lift. And for me, that was when I was like, all right, I see big things coming from Steven. I was like, this, when you're able to take something in your life that you enjoy and apply it and tie it into data, I'm like, okay, that person's going to succeed.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I talk to a lot of people. A lot of people that have been reaching out to me through LinkedIn is just don't just do these projects that people are telling you to do. Learn those skills and apply them to things that you're passionate about. Because I had so much fun making that dashboard. Like I don't know about you, but like if someone told me I had fun doing dashboards, I would be like, you're just a nerd, dude. I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
But I had so much fun doing that project because it's personal to me. It's something that I care about. And I just wanted, it was my baby, I wanted to make it as best as I could. And people loved that dashboard, especially during interviews.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're in DCJ, we're doing projects. So we start off with the screen time project, doing a lot of data visualization. Then we have a project about fitness as well. So we dive into Python. And those are kind of the two things that probably you had done before applying to jobs. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So it took you about 2 months to do those, more or less. Is that right?
More or less. Yeah. About 2 months.
Okay. And I guess another aspect of Data Career Jumpstart is it's not only technical skills, but it's also, personal skills and soft skills and networking skills. So whole section on LinkedIn, whole section on finding jobs. When you were applying to jobs, what was your strategy? And then what ended up working?
So when I was applying to jobs, a lot of it was just going on LinkedIn, looking for data analyst, whether I was filtering by remote because my last job was remote also. And I was like, I don't want to go back to office anymore. I can just leave and go for a walk whenever I want to. So I made sure remote was one of those. And then I also did easy apply. I know it's not like the best way to go through jobs, but for me, I needed to do job applications as easy as possible because it's really draining to do job applications, especially if you have to email like 3 different cover letters or whatnot. So easy apply was really good for me because I can literally just lay in bed, watch Netflix and just apply.
Okay.
So I would get through like 50 or so applications a night, just chilling, applying that way. And yeah.
Did you have any luck with the easy applies?
I'll be honest, not really. I had one company get back to me, but that's because I had experience in the mortgage company. So that one company got back to me and I did interview with them as well.
Okay. So a couple things that I think you said. One is like you're applying to like data analyst positions, correct? Too.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So one thing I like that Steven just mentioned, he's never been a data analyst. He doesn't have analytics experience. He's never been a data scientist, but he's applying for these entry-level, data analyst jobs. But where he had success, I think is really important here, was when he applied to a mortgage company. And some people are like, oh, I don't have any experience being a data analyst. And you know what, that might be true. That might not be on your resume. You might not have actually crunched that much numbers, but you definitely have some sort of experience, whether it's in teaching or whether it's in mortgage or something like that. And I think it's important to really marry those at the beginning, especially when you're trying to get interviews, because like there's data in every industry around the world, right? If you've been, if you've been an athlete, there's sports analytics jobs. If you've been in business, there's business analyst jobs. Like I think Steven did a really good point there of like leaning in on his, background. And I think that made him more attractive to employers and recruiters and stuff like that. And also a lot of perseverance right there, because I'm sure you got a lot of rejections and didn't hear back from a lot of those, right?
I'm still getting those rejection emails and I'm like, nice. I'm good, man. I'm almost 3 months into this job. I'm good.
Yeah. You're like, sucks to suck. I already have a job. Thank you very much. So let's talk about that. So how did you find this job or how did they find you? And what was that process like?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually saw through the DCJ Discord, Ellie. I absolutely love Ellie. She's one of my mentors. And Avery, you're also one of my mentors. I want to make sure that that's clear. Like you have an amazing community that you've built here and the people that are giving back, even though they're not. We talked about this, which is really funny. Yeah. And I wanted to message her on LinkedIn, but she did not allow people. So I had to get InMail. And to get InMail, I had to get what's it called? The LinkedIn Premium.
Yeah.
I literally paid $40 to get LinkedIn Premium so I could send her a message and say, hey, I'm interested about this job. Can you look at my resume? Can you talk to me? Let me know, like, would I be a good fit? Or what do I need to learn to be a good fit? And we scheduled a phone call and we talked about all that. And she actually helped me rebuild my resume. She helped me highlight some words and stuff like that. I would go as far to say that she redid my whole resume for me. She was giving me tips at first, and she was like, you know what, just send me the Word file, I'll do it. And she redid my whole resume for me. So she's absolutely amazing. She's a senior manager of analytics in Denso as well. We don't work on the same team, unfortunately, but we still talk from time to time, and she's an amazing asset to have in this industry.
So I think there's a lot of really interesting things there, because part of the reason I made Data Career Jumpstart, and I haven't really talked about this since I launched the course. I've kind of forgotten about this, but one of the reasons I launched it was because, you know, I broke into data science like 7 years ago, right? And when I was doing it, I mean, it was still pretty popular, I think, but definitely not as popular as it is now. And there definitely was not nearly as many resources. And I was super lonely. I was like, I don't know if anyone knows what I'm doing, or like, I don't know if anyone else is on the same journey as me. Shout out to Ellie. Ellie is totally awesome, very helpful to the community and aspiring data professionals. And you connected with her. But hold on. What I love here is that like there was something that you had to overcome. You like couldn't figure out how to message her. That's okay, because you paid the $40, you got the LinkedIn premium, sent her an email. What was that cold message like? Like just like, hey, I saw you posted in DCJ Discord about a job opening. You know, I've been in Avery's program, been learning, something like that.
It was 100% just like that. It was just, yeah, I've been working in DCJ. I've done with most of it. Can you look at my resume? What can I change, or what should I learn? What should I focus on, basically?
Yeah. And I love that also, because you had a portfolio. That's something that, okay. So I have a lot of DMs. I get a lot of DMs every day. People asking me for advice, people asking me for jobs. I get a lot of jobs. I think 1 out of 100 DMs that I've ever gotten have had a portfolio attached to it. And guess what? Guess who I hired as the one person I've ever really hired is the person who had a portfolio. Having a portfolio just proves that you like are for real, and like you can do the things that you say you can. Here's the evidence, right? And I know Ellie really liked that about you, that you had the portfolio, that like you had evidence. She's a big fan of data visualization. You had awesome data visualizations, for instance, from Data Career Jumpstart, and also just like your fitness journey and stuff like that as well. Had some pretty cool data visualizations. So I think that played a big role in you like catching her attention, and her being willing to help you out was just like, you were for real, you know, that portfolio made you for real.
Yeah, I was gonna say portfolios are very undervalued right now, because I also get a lot of DMs, especially now with all my posts going viral or whatnot. But a lot of them, they don't have portfolios. Like they don't send me. I ask them, I always say, hey, I can help you. I know you're looking. Send me your resume. Send me your portfolio. A lot of them don't have any portfolios. And I just keep telling people, like, how do these companies know what you've been working on? Sure, you got the SQL skills, you got the Python skills, data visualization, but they need to see something. It needs to be tangible. They need to be able to picture you in their role before they hire you.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I try to promote.
Yeah, for sure. And let's go ahead and talk about your LinkedIn. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to go to your LinkedIn right now, because I want to get some live things. All right. So I'm going to linkedin.com. We'll have Steven's LinkedIn in the show notes down below. I'm going to go to your page. Let's see. I just lost it. There we go. And I want to check something. So currently right now you have 3,831 followers on LinkedIn. Okay.
Yep.
Now I want you to go back to November, 6 months ago. Okay. Not even half a year, really. How many connections or followers did you have on LinkedIn?
So I had 0 followers because I didn't allow followers, and connections, it was probably like 20 people.
So basically you've grown your LinkedIn, like who knows how many times since you joined DCJ, basically.
Yep.
and more specifically, so you went from, let's say from 20, I hate how LinkedIn has like connections and followers. It's kind of confusing. I'm just going to call them followers. So you had like 20 connections, and now you have 3,831. Now let's talk about specifically how you gained those. So you've been posting. I know a big part about DCJ is posting. Mm-hmm. And recently, let's see, a couple days ago, you had a post go super viral. 5 days ago, it has 3,194 reactions, 95 comments, 57 shares, and it's 3 sentences.
That's right.
So did most of the followers come from that or before that?
I would say most of them came from that, but I wanted to make sure that I was still posting after that,
Yeah.
because I feel like when you get that exposure, it only lasts so long.
Yeah.
So the biggest, I wouldn't say stressor for me was like, oh, what's the next post going to be? It's definitely not going to be as good, but I need to show these new followers, the type of content that I want to put out, the kind of things that I want to say. So it was a little bit of a time crunch for me.
Yeah. Okay. So then the next one was 3 days later, and it ended up getting 872 likes, 82 comments, and 25 shares.
Yeah. Yep. That was the things you can do to break into data analytics.
Okay. And then the next one had 1,437 reactions, 85 comments, and 163.
That's right.
Okay. So gone pretty viral recently on LinkedIn. People are asking you for advice. What advice do you give people who say they want to go into analytics?
A lot of the time I will ask what their background is, because a lot of people, I don't necessarily think that you need a background in data analytics. You can literally get started today. Like look up SQL, look up some Python, learn some data viz. But a lot of the times they're asking like, what can I do or what can I learn? But some people are just straight up asking me for a job, and I'm like, man, I'm just an associate. Like I can't give you a job. But some people ask me like, oh, do you have any projects I can help on? Those people, I value their comments a little bit more, because it's not asking for a handout. I don't want to sound vain, but it just seems like it's not mutually beneficial to either of us. You know what I mean? So I like those messages that people are asking, like, what are you working on, or what can I help you with? Things like that.
It's yeah, I totally agree that whenever you're, cold messaging someone or even like talking to someone, the first message should always be, how can I provide this person value in their life? How can I help this person? Because, obviously, I have a substantial LinkedIn following, and when I have posts that go viral, it's like a mad zoo in there. It's very crazy. And to be honest, I don't read like half of them probably at the end of the day. It's just too much. But I try to find the ones that like, oh, this is interesting, or this person's different, or this person's saying thank you. Like this person doesn't want anything from me. They're just saying thank you. And yeah, maybe it does seem vain, but that's like human nature. Like we don't trust people until they prove their worthiness, And most of the time people are just asking for stuff, and it's kind of annoying, because unfortunately, we can't spend our whole lives and our whole time helping people. We can help a few people, but when it gets to such a big number, it gets a little bit difficult, because we got to put food on the table, we got to pay the bills. Yeah. So let me read this viral post that you had. So let me pull this up here. The one I really liked was things you can do to break into data analytics. Learn your hard skills in order of importance: IMO, SQL, Excel, Python, statistics, data visualization, Tableau, and Power BI. Learn your soft skills: tailored resume, online portfolio, answers to basic data analytic questions. And then don't forget to apply. Okay, so talk about one of those points that you find that's like really valuable that other people maybe don't see the same way that you do.
So yeah, this post was definitely built on my experience trying to get a job in data analytics, which I feel like my individual experience also applies to a lot of other people, which a lot of people have been sending me messages like, hey, I've been in the exact place where you are, except I haven't gotten that job yet. But the main reason I wanted to make this post was the just because you don't satisfy the job requirements part. There was actually a podcast that I listened to you, and someone said this. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the person that you talked to. I think they were a data freelancer. They were talking about that. Just make sure that you apply. Like a lot of these job requirements are just like, they're not even minimums. I don't think they're like the ideal candidate. And that really resonated with me, because when I was applying to jobs, a lot of the time I wasn't even looking at the job requirements. I was just applying because in my head, I'm just like, if they considered me, then they fit me as that profile. So if I might as well shoot my shot, right?
For sure.
So that was the main thing I wanted to nail home. It's just like these are like, if you fit 50%, 60% of that profile, do it. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah, especially if it's only time. I mean, and time obviously is valuable, but at least it's not money. You know what I'm saying? Like you can apply, and definitely, like I think the requirements have to be honest. So I try to help people find jobs, and so one of my main jobs is to try to help my students, especially inside Data Career Jumpstart, find jobs that fit them well. And so I spend a lot of time talking to CEOs, a lot of times speaking to recruiters, and try to match make the process basically. And so now people kind of send me jobs and say, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you have anyone like that? And recently I had a guy reach out to me, a CEO of a company. I will not say which, but it's a big business, and they've never actually had a data analyst or data scientist. So I guess not that big. I guess it's a mid-sized company. Actually, probably small compared to everything in the world. It probably has like 100 employees, and he wanted to hire a data analyst or a data scientist. And he's like, I'm going to write the job description and let me know what you think. And he came back to me, and it was a data analyst role, but like all the requirements were data scientist requirements. And I was like, bro, this is a data scientist job. And he's like, well, what's the difference? And so sometimes the people, writing the job, hopefully this isn't always the case. Like, I hope this is an exception, but like, he didn't even really know what he was talking about. And that's why he was talking to me. But sometimes, especially smaller companies, they don't know what they want, or they're listing like 100 things and they don't really need those things. They need 2 out of the 100 things. So you never know, it can never hurt. But one of the things I think is most valuable that you did was you're leaning on your networking. You're leaning on the people you're in the Data Career Jumpstart Discord. You're talking to DMing people, who know me. Like you're leaning on the community around you and using the network that ended up landing you the awesome job. And a lot of the times I think, applying online does work, but if you can figure out how to like talk to a human instead of having to go through the system, I would always choose talking to human 10 out of 10 times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Every job I've ever had, and I've had 6 or 7 jobs, or because I knew someone that was working there already, every single job. So networking is another undervalued skill. I don't want to say it's undervalued, but people don't practice it the way that you should, is making those connections and building your skills based on those connections. Is just, undervalued.
I think especially on LinkedIn, because like, I don't know about you, but like, I do not necessarily enjoy networking events, like where, well, okay, I take it back. But like, for instance, like socials, like where you like just have to like go up to someone and introduce yourself. I'm not very good at that as an introvert. And I know maybe you guys don't believe me, but I'm super introverted. And like, I much rather have like a topic. So like, for instance, if they posted on LinkedIn, I would love to comment on their post, or maybe they'll comment on my post if I post. Like, I like having like a vehicle where our conversation flows versus just like meeting in person. And also like on the internet, I know exactly who you are off of your LinkedIn profile. If we go to a real life like mixer, I'm just like judging your appearance to like hopefully know what you do. And like, I know that I went to the Silicon Slopes conference, which is like a pretty big tech conference in Utah. And like, I was like, how do I maximize my time? I'm gonna like meet some random people. And like, you just walk up to people and be like, hey, what do you do? And it's like, oh, like I make potato like machines. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not really interested in that. And I can't relate. Versus on LinkedIn, I can be like, oh, this person, works for a marketing analytics company. That's super interesting. Let's start a conversation there. So I feel like LinkedIn is still underrated for the networking aspect of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think events like that, they kind of force this genuine connection when you can't really force something like that. Especially at those events, you're expected to ask people what they do. You're expected to be asked what you do. Whereas in LinkedIn, you can choose that. You can choose to let anyone know as much as you want to, but also, you have your profile and all that stuff. But yeah, it just lacks that genuineness.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe I do like in-person events. So maybe I was just at too broad of an event, and maybe like for instance, I have enjoyed the data conferences that I've gone to. So maybe it was just too broad, but anyways, I like LinkedIn because it can be really I'm much better on one-on-one versus in groups. So big fan of LinkedIn. Okay. So with that, I'm just going to rehash your story. You're working for this mortgage company as a tech support, graduating college, join DCJ, start posting on LinkedIn. By the way, your LinkedIn profile looks really good. I love your cover photo. That's one of the things that we go over in DCJ, and no one uses the cover photo in a good way. A lot of people don't anyways. So love it. Love your profile picture. Great headline on your LinkedIn, posting good things. You're using the featured section, which is another thing. Your first thing is your portfolio. Next few things are cool graphs and viral posts. So you're nailing the LinkedIn thing. Land a job through networking, 15K increase in salary, where you're working remotely, which is awesome, enjoying life, have room to grow. So that's kind of the Steven story that we want to shout from the rooftops and let everyone know that you can go from I don't want to say nothing because you were definitely something, but
Mhm.
non-data jobs to a data analyst role or associate data analytics role in 3 months, right? Aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, absolutely. Crazy journey I've been on and still going on.
So
Yeah.
I just want to give you all the biggest props because there's people inside of Data Career Jumpstart who have been in there, like, I don't know, how long is it? I guess we started in September, October, November. I guess like 8 months who are still struggling. And one thing I think you did really well is one, you took the content really quickly. You built and like fell in love with your portfolio. Like you're like, my portfolio is where I post stuff. You documented stuff really well. And then you networked. I mean, those are really like, honestly, that's what Data Career Jumpstart is all about. It's like those three things. It's like, can you work fast? Can you make projects? And can you network? And you did those three things well. I think that's why it led to, your success so quickly. I think at the end of the day, that's pretty much, how you got to where you're at. And now you're helping other people. Now you're learning more. I know you've been mentioning you've been learning a ton of SQL on the job, and that's the whole point, right? Like,
Yep.
I think I told you this straight up because we had a call before you joined Data Career Jumpstart. I said, I don't really want to take you from being nothing to the best data scientist on planet Earth. I want to help you get your first job, get your foot in the door so that you can get paid to learn.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
that's what you're going to do now, right? And hopefully, I mean, tell the people what you're learning and then what your goals are in the.
So yeah, definitely. During the interview process itself, it was actually very conversational. We never talked about anything that I never had to say too many times. Is very good. I loved talking to, I had 3 interviews back to back to back from I think 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock in the morning. But I wasn't sweating. It was like the most genuine. So I got to interview with my director, who I currently report to right now, a senior manager, and then a senior director too, who all work on my current team. And they're absolutely amazing people, and I love them. And one thing I want to shout out about my director and why I love Dentsu so much. So I've only been working there for a little over 2 months. And we have flexible time off, so FTO. And she's like, Steven, you've been working here for 2 months. You haven't taken time off. You should take some time off. I've never worked for a company that told me, hey, you need to just, you might burn out. Just take a break, take today off. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, anyways.
That is awesome.
Yeah. It's been an absolute journey. So they have been teaching me a lot of things. So that was one thing that they made sure of in the interview process. Have you been exposed to SQL? Have you been exposed to Tableau? Have you been exposed to Python? So I only had one technical question during that whole interview, which was, so here's a table, and then she described the columns, and here's another table. She described, how would you join these, or what join would you use? And I actually had a definition of all the joins because I kind of knew that they might ask some join question on one of my screens. I have 3 screens basically. So I had on one of my screens, I had what a full join was. I was like, oh, full join sounds like something I would want to use. She's like, yeah, that's what you would use. And I was like, cool. That's about all I know about SQL besides, the main definitions, select, from, where, group by, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're basically giving me SQL lessons right now. And I've just been learning. I know Python. It's just learning pandas, sklearn a little bit more and stuff like that. So it's definitely the ideal situation of getting paid to learn, and knowing from the get-go what the expectation was really made it easy for me to transition into it. And I'm really excited to learn more. That's one thing I want to talk about is like, so many people are asking me for advice. They're saying like, oh, you know so much about data analytics. I'm literally the first rung on the ladder of data. But like the way I think about it is there's a big gap from the floor to the first rung to like, the ladder of data. So people are asking me so many things, and I'm trying my absolute best. And I'm a people pleaser by nature, so I try to answer every DM, try to answer every comment, and it's starting to burn me out a little bit. So I'm not forcing myself too much, but it's just crazy to me that people are relying on me or like trusting me with helping them in their career when I'm literally just the first rung on that ladder. So it's been super humbling, and it's been super great to help out the community any way that I can.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think in order to be like a teacher or like a mentor, you really only have to be one step ahead of the people, that you're teaching. So I think that's totally fine. And at the end of the day, we're all still learning. You never will know everything in data. So it all works out in the end. And I think people talking to you is a good thing for them, but I totally understand the burnout aspect. That's one of the reasons why, before I did Data Career Jumpstart, when I was still working my 9 to 5 at Exxon, I did a lot of mentorship. I did a lot of live calls. I did a lot of DMing, and it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm at my absolute cap for what I can do, at this point. And that's why one of the reasons why I started Data Career Jumpstart. But awesome stuff. I'm not stupid. I'm super stoked for you and your journey. The way I see like your next, couple of years, like, you're going to nail a bunch of SQL right now. You're going to learn a bunch of SQL on the job, get really good at SQL. Do really learn the business, because I think marketing is something that's new to you. It'd be new to me as well. Like really learn your domain. And then, maybe, I guess you started in February or March, maybe 6 years down the road, or not 6 years, a year or two down the road, maybe you switch to a different team, or maybe you go into like a data scientist role and you do that for 2 to 3 years. And then, all of a sudden you're like an expert, data guy in marketing. You combine those two things. That's a huge niche. I see such a bright future for you, man. I'm super excited for you, and couldn't be more happy for you. Also couldn't happen to a better person. So congratulations on all your success. Just to recap, 15K, new job that has way more, place to expand, 3,000 followers on LinkedIn in like 4 months, basically. That's crazy. And I think it goes a huge testament to who you are as a person.
Right. Thank you so much, Avery. Yeah, I just, like I said, you're one of my mentors in this data journey, and you've been an absolute huge help in everything. So I love everything that DCJ has been able to let me do and grow. It's still helping me even after I finished, most of those projects. So looking forward to that sequel part when that comes out.
Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out soon. So yeah, looking forward to that as well. And yeah, great stuff. Any parting words you'd like to leave the people with?
Yeah. So it's gonna be a tough road, but like I don't want to say that because of my skills, I got to where I am. But one thing that I've heard my brother say is that luck favors those who are prepared. So I want to say I'm very blessed and I'm very lucky to have meet the people that I have met, and also to get to be in the position that I am in. But the thing is, you got to be prepared. You got to put the work in, you got to study, you got to learn. And like when luck happens to you, you're prepared. So that's just one thing I would say.
For sure. I like that. Well, Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll have your link to your LinkedIn down below. And yeah, we'll see you more on LinkedIn. We look forward to more posts. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, I'm going to have an awesome free masterclass that I know you're going to love. We're going to talk about a lot of things this episode talked about. You can get it absolutely for free at datacareerjumpstart.com/training, or using the link in the show notes down below. Hope to see you there.